Hi, Dave.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, Dave. Do we curse on this podcast?
Yes, Eric. Yes, we do.
Hi, everyone. It's Eric and Dave, your friends at the Adventures in Collecting podcast. We hope that you're staying safe and healthy throughout this incredibly unprecedented time and current health crisis we're going through. Everyone, including young adults, is at risk for coronavirus, and the best way to protect yourself is to stay at home and practice safe social distancing.
Staying at home helps lower the risk for everyone, including your family members and those most at risk.
Yeah, just avoid eating or drinking at bars, restaurants, and food courts. Use drive-through or delivery options, and stay at home if you're not feeling well.
If you have any symptoms of fever, dry cough, or shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office.
Most of all, just take care of yourself and your family, and enjoy this episode of the podcast.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls.
Along with our journeys as collectors.
And we're back! Welcome back to Adventures in Collecting. I'm Eric.
Hi, I'm Dave.
And we're doing it again. We're back, just the two of us. Back to the standard skeleton crew. Social distance podcasting.
Yeah.
Big shouts to Toy Shiz for being on our last episode. It was so great to have him on.
Yes. And happy birthday.
Yes, that's right. Today is his birthday, Friday, April 10th. So we spoke to him a little bit this evening and made sure that he's having as good a birthday as you could have being locked in your house. So
I mean, I did, so...
This is true. This is true.
We didn't talk about that.
Well, I mean, it was kind of a downer, right? Because we were supposed to have our live show on your birthday, and I like I mentioned to you before we started rolling tape. I'm currently staring at your birthday gift, and I can't wait to give it to you.
I can't wait to receive it. That means, we could see people again.
Yeah, seeing people is nice.
Yeah.
My in-laws stopped by, and I'm doing very, very deliberate air quotes. They stopped by this afternoon to drop off my daughter's Easter gifts, and it was the saddest thing ever because like they had their masks on, they had their gloves on, they dropped the Easter gifts on the porch, and we talked to them through the door. It was very sad. So
yeah.
I cannot wait to move past this, but like you heard up front in the little PSA that we recorded, please continue practicing social distancing and
stay home.
Stay home. Collect at home, rummage in your basements, support local businesses and order from them, order from online. There are ways to continue this, our hobby and our habits going. Just, practice that safe social distancing. It's going to help save a lot of people.
Yeah, I've only been outside to take the garbage in and out and to do like push-ups. So
yeah, driveway hit classes, or in my case, patio hit classes. But
yeah, that's pretty much it.
I'm excited to be back and recording another episode. And without further ado, let's talk about what's going to be on today's episode.
On today's episode,
we are going to do our normal news and hauls, and there's really no other way to put it, Dave, but it was the fucking weirdest WrestleMania that we've ever seen.
It was strange.
And I mean, it's clearly a product of our current situation, and there are some really cool things that happened at it. So I figured,
Yeah, it'll be one that we'll look back on and say it's definitely like a product of the time.
Yeah. So there are a lot of really cool things that happened at WrestleMania that have potential toy implications. So we're not going to go super deep dive into it like our normal topics, but we are going to talk about some of our favorite moments from it and things that maybe we'd love to see as toys. So do you want to start with the news, Dave, or would you like me to?
I guess, with the like a good segue off of WrestleMania back onto WrestleMania. They did a lot of announcings, and by they I mean they did a lot of announcings. They did a lot of announcements. They being Mattel. Um, a lot of the new slate of figures for the next good chunk of time got announced and shown. Sure you saw on our Instagram and all over the internet they had an announcement with Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins on the WWE YouTube page where they showed a lot of this stuff, but there was actually a lot that was not shown on that got shown afterwards too. Um, the second series of Decade of Domination, another series of Legends, the next couple Elite series, the new Ultimate series, some basics. There's a lot out there. I'd be running down names for 25 minutes. But there's a lot of cool stuff. I think the best ones are going to be those Ultimate Rock and Charlotte that got announced as the next Ultimate series, so Series 6.
And the
But
Ultimate
there's
Hollywood Hulk Hogan too.
Yeah, that got announced as well. And I really do think the Edgehead 3-pack is really cool. Where it's Edge, but it comes with a Hawkins and Ryder separate head. So if you want to display all three, you will need all three, which is a brilliant marketing move. Or you will need to buy it 3 times, which is a brilliant marketing move. That's a Ringside Collectibles exclusive, so that'll be fun.
You know what was really cool about that announcement? So like the figure itself is awesome, and like it's such a it is an iconic moment, and it's Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, and they've been so great for the collecting community and for the action figure and wrestling figure world. Um, to see them get that moment made in plastic is really cool. But what was even cooler was to watch that live stream as they were seeing it for the first time, and like they were kind of freaking out over it. It's one of those moments where it's kind of like a peek behind the curtain that I really appreciated as kind of like I mean, I watch wrestling, but like as a bystander more so. It was really neat to see their reactions to them getting those figures and those likenesses. So very, very cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. It's a cool moment, and I know it's something they've been pitching for a while on their show, so on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. So yeah,
Yeah, it was that was very cool, and they continued to do as they extended to WrestleMania to 2 days this year, which we'll get into later. They continued to do those announcements throughout, kind of like the lead up to it, straight through to Sunday. So yeah, like you
yeah, it
said,
was through the weekend. Like that was probably all the stuff that was going to be at Access.
I think they might have me, to be completely honest. I have not bought a wrestling figure since those Jax figures were purchased for me as a kid. Like full disclosure, I'm almost positive I'm going to be on the hook for that Ultimate Rock.
It's a great figure. That last Rock that came out, the Walmart exclusive, was really good. So was the Royal Rumble one, but this is the best one.
Yeah, like it's just the faces, the hands, the shirt that he comes with, the soft goods shirt that he comes with. It's just it kind of is like a perfect figure.
Like I'm definitely gonna have him do the mic pose where he's like head tilted up with the mic, like 100%.
Yep. Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking, how I would display him. And that one, since he doesn't really fit into my home office display with like the Marvel and the NECA and McFarlane stuff, that will definitely be my desk at work. And he'll just be screaming, which when isn't The Rock screaming, right?
Well,
When he's not screaming, I guess, is when he's not screaming.
yeah,
So along with some other non-wrestling related news, between the last episode and this episode, we had Star Wars Fan Celebration Day, which as a Star Wars fan, I didn't know it was a thing, but I was happy to see it because Hasbro, through Hasbro Pulse, who has been extremely busy, by the way.
yeah.
With their giveaways, and including they gave away the sail barge, which is unbelievable. Um, they partnered up with some of the more prominent Star Wars fan sites, and they did some reveals. So there's more coming to the carbonized collection, which has been insanely popular. If you haven't noticed them already out there, but there was that carbonized Mandalorian is pretty much worth its weight in gold. Quite literally, that thing is impossible to find, and the aftermarket value on it is crazy. Personally, I only ever saw one, and it was on Force Friday, and I picked it up for a friend of the pod, Dave P from the Calling All Creeps podcast. Um, Gorgeous looking figure. They have the new ones, much like the first wave of them. It's Boba Fett, and a stormtrooper, and they have that kind of metallic paint job to them. Not necessarily something that is film accurate, which is usually what collectors look for in these figures. It's something that is purely aesthetic, and it is gorgeous. The paint apps on them are incredible. That Boba Fett one in the shiny green box is, I have to imagine, is going to be impossible to find, if not next to impossible to find. Along with that, we got some new vintage collection announcements. So we're finally getting Commander Wolf from the Attack of the Clones era, and we're getting a super articulated vintage collection, K2SO, which I am super excited for. That is my favorite droid. I love Alan Tudyk. I love K2SO, and I have the 3 3/4 standard articulation K2SO, which is actually one of my favorite standard articulation figures from the Star Wars line. But I am super excited to have him be able to bend at the elbows and knees and really hold a blaster, and yeah, very, very excited to have that figure. The other big piece of news, of course, Dave, which we've been talking about nonstop, and as of this time, I just kind of checked before we started recording. They have cracked the $1 million mark, the McFarlane Spawn Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, like literally as we speak, it's at $1,046,717.
And remind me, Dave, we're 3 days into the Kickstarter?
Yeah.
And the original goal, the goal in order to fund the project, was $100,000. And if
Correct.
you live in the United States, the minimum buy-in, for a figure in this project is $57 shipped. If you live in the contiguous United States. And there are many options. You can have the classic Spawn modeled after. This is the same Spawn figure, by the way, that we saw at Toy Fair, right? This is the one that we saw the model of.
It sure does look like it, yeah.
Yeah. And when we talked to Todd about this on our Toy Fair episode, he was very enthusiastic about this program, and being able to do really what he wants to do without kind of the retailer input. McFarlane for a long time has been the toy company that does produce the weird off one-off type products. He even mentioned in the interview, like, he wanted to make a Jimi Hendrix figure, so he did, and it wasn't really necessarily part of a wave. It was just one figure that came out, and with toy retailers being kind of scarce at this point, they're the way that you get toys at a retail space are either in a GameStop and a Walmart and a Target, something like that. With especially in the United States, a little bit different in Canada and some other parts of the world. But this Spawn figure is modeled after the original from 1994, 94 or 95, somewhere around there. It's one of those years, right?
Yeah, something in that ballpark.
Yeah. So the base model of the figure is modeled after that original Spawn. So the giant red cape, the sharp, crisp black, white, and red coloration. It's going to come with a comic book like the original Spawn figure did, along with some new artwork, and just like anything else on Kickstarter, you can go up and up tiers. What's the next up tier from the base one?
It's like a new modern Spawn is what it's called. In 1994 yeah. 1994 was the year.
Yeah, and then there's the modern Spawn, and then there's a couple other ones, right?
There's also like it's almost like it's like got an unpainted prototype look. It's called Black and White, which looks really cool.
And then the big one is you can get all three of the figures,
Yes.
which is the classic Spawn, the modern Spawn, and I think he's calling the modern Spawn look like a baseball stitch head. It's like an unmasked head, but like it has like a very distinct like crack down the center of it, and it looks like it's stitched together. And then, like you mentioned, the black and white one. They've already hit $1 million, which I was a little shocked by. You had a little bit of a different take on it.
I was not shocked whatsoever. I'm just trying to see what all of the backings were, but I want to say it's like it's very reasonable to get all three.
I think isn't it like $160?
Yeah, I think it is.
What's neat is like so the classic Spawn and the modern Spawn, which is what they're calling that second one, they're the same price. So it's just a difference. The body is almost identical.
Price.
Yeah. But if you get the three, you get 2 extra heads. So you get 5 total heads. Yeah, you get like a screaming head and you get an Al Simmons head, which is really cool. With the stretch goal that they just announced as they cross the $1 million mark, everyone's getting an extra set of hands, and the people who ordered the 3 are getting 2 or 5 total heads as opposed to the original 3 that were promised. So
yeah,
it's such a cool project. We saw the prototype at Toy Fair. It's a gorgeous looking model. It will be fully articulated. They have, if you head on over to their Kickstarter, we'll put a link to it in our show notes. But if you head over to their Kickstarter, they actually have this really cool video that shows you kind of like the model blown out with all of the where the joints and the articulation will be. So very cool. We're very much so looking forward to that figure. We both have backed it. So thank you Todd and Co for delivering on this. The Kickstarter ends in May, so it's a month long. It ends the first week of May or second week.
Yeah,
of May.
and like you were saying, I was not shocked that not only did it get funded within minutes, but that it like has cruised past it. I was not shocked whatsoever.
I wasn't shocked when it hit 100K in I think it was like under 15 minutes. That didn't surprise me. Because I know that there is a fervor for this character, for this figure. I mean, the comics are still a lot of fun. I did not expect it to cross the $1 million mark in 3 days. I figured that would have been like, a week or two in. So now I have no read on it at this point. I have no idea how high it's going to go. Part of me is thinking that everybody who really really wanted one has probably already done that. Has probably already committed to it. So I think you're going to see that number slow down quite significantly.
But I think depending on what stretch goals happen, you might see more happen.
The thing that I'm really hopeful for, and the price point is really reasonable, considering what you get, the box that you're getting, like everything that you're getting with it, like the entire package. $57 is really not bad. I mean, people pay more than that for an SH figure.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really not bad. What this makes me hopeful for, and the success is like, are they going to do like Clown or Violator next? Like I would love to see something like that, because at this point now you have an updated version of Spawn that's in their signature modern 7-inch scale with the full articulation. I mean, really, right now the quintessential Clown figure that you can get is, I mean, it's got to be like 15 years old. That Clown 4 figure from, like, I think it's like Series 19 or something like that. is a great figure, scales well with the modern stuff, because still in that 7-inch scale, but it barely articulates. And now, like, that the keys to the kingdom really are, does the figure articulate?
Well, I mean, look at the cape too. Like, you didn't get a cape of that magnitude originally.
I mean, the cape for that original figure was huge, but it didn't have. So I still have my original Spawn figure. What's left of it? It's almost entirely bare. It's missing paint in most places. I posted a picture of it the other day. But the problem with that original cape was it didn't have articulation. It just kind of had these points of the plastic that allowed it to bend. So that way, when it was in that original clamshell that it was in, the cape could bend around Spawn and kind of like envelop him, but it was very hard plastic. So the problem was the more you played with it and the more you bent it, and I remember this happening to mine, the like left and right like little flanks of his cape from bending back and forth over and over again, that middle piece of plastic eventually just wore out and they fell off. Like they literally just kind of like I don't know how to describe it. Like if you have like a really thin wire and you don't have something to cut it, you could just kind of bend it back and forth a bunch of times really fast, and eventually it snaps in half. Very much so like that. But it was kind of a product of the time. Nobody was really making toys like that. Like Spawn, like the Violator clown figure. So a true update with it, with an actual cape that kind of is I really I can't wait to get this figure on hand. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a specific figure, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's fully being aware that I have the Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn that's due to be delivered later this month. So
Yeah, it's definitely very exciting, and it's something where I had, um, no problem kind of jumping on it and getting involved right away.
yeah, it was a no brainer. It was an easy.
It was a layup. Like, there was no reason not to get this if you're not if you're a fan of Spawn, even if you're not a fan of Spawn, just based off of kind of the look of the figure.
And it's one of those things too where like I remember so in 1995 I was definitely too young to be reading like really reading what was going on in the Spawn comics and kind of following I mean cuz it's a violent, very visceral comic. My into Spawn was the figures because they were fun looking and they were
Hmm.
crazy designs, and you had a clown that turned into like a weird demon monster. So like my into the brand was the figures, and I'm hoping that granted this is very much so geared towards collectors and towards people of our generations, but I have to imagine that people are going to see this character play as him in Mortal Kombat 11, and see the Mortal Kombat 11 figure and see this figure, and maybe this will be a resurgence of the character. Maybe this will help him get the movie off the ground. We'll see what happens, right?
Yep.
So yeah, news otherwise has been kind of here and there. Nothing too crazy. Outside of the big WrestleMania announcements and the Spawn Kickstarter kind of setting the internet on fire. Dave, what have you picked up lately?
I've picked up nothing that I've received yet.
What have you
Um,
preemptively picked up?
well, I know last time, prior to the last show, I did get um the ringside exclusive, 3 ringside exclusives from ringside. They were older ones. There was Wolfpack Macho Man Randy Savage, Wolfpack Sting, and Shane McMahon from the King of the Ring, where Kurt Angle threw him through a bunch of glass. Um, those were just figures I was getting kind of, FOMO about, and I was just like, I got to get these before I can't.
And how do you feel now that you have them?
Um, Good. I don't have to, once ringside runs out of them, go on eBay and spend too much for them. So, um, The other things that I got, it was all pre-orders. I pre-ordered the first wave of Decade of Domination. Those all went up on Walmart the day of that announcement, and I picked up the whole series. So that'll be cool. I think they said July for that to be shipped. I think that's what's on the website. It's either June or July. And then I also pre-ordered. They went up on Amazon. The latest wave of the DC McFarlane Toys. I got the Wonder Woman 84 in her regular Wonder Woman attire.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a great looking figure. That's another one that we got a chance to see in person.
Yeah, the one with the golden armor looks cool, but I want to see it in context of the movie before I get it.
Yeah, that's my hesitation as well, because I love the design of that, but I don't know what the context is.
I mean, I feel like if the movie's half as good as the original, then I'm gonna love it. Just because the first one was so good, like off the charts amazing. But
Yeah, we just
I feel like I'm going to like it and ultimately pick it up, but I kind of want to. One's good for now.
Yeah, and we know, having spoken with Todd, we know that he likes to make the figures that kind of have the most kind of like toy value to them, not necessarily related to the amount of screen time or panel time that they have in comics. You could look to the Batman and Superman like mech suit figures that he put out in that first or second wave. So who knows how long that golden armor figure is actually in the movie. So yeah, I'm staying tuned for that one because I'm keeping an eye on both of them.
I'm just happy that there's cinematic universe figures.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that there's there are good DC movies. So, believe it or not. So there are definitely some good figures that I would like to pick up, and Wonder Woman's definitely at the top of the list. So
yeah, I would be all in for either a roller skate Harley Quinn from Birds of Prey, or more importantly, a confetti jacket Harley Quinn that comes with an egg sandwich.
that would probably be the best. Yeah,
I would need the egg sandwich though.
I'll agree with you on that.
So I got some things. Believe it or not, my
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I ordered one more thing today, or really three more
oh
things.
yeah, that's right.
All of the Funko WonderCon stuff was put out today. Their specific exclusives were put out online today. A lot of the other store exclusives are kind of coming out between today and tomorrow, or I should say between last night and tomorrow, online. But I was able to pick up, again, something that I got because of FOMO from missing out the first time around. The Cheshire Cat in the Mad Tea Party from Disney World and Disneyland. That pop ride, I wanted the Alice one. I waited too long. You can't get it anymore. So I was like, I got to get the Cheshire Cat. And I also got the Ramona Flowers and Knives Chow sodas from Scott Pilgrim. So to go with the two sodas that were in the previous unboxing video.
The real question.
Uncanning video.
I was gonna say the real question that I want to ask about the sodas is: are we gonna get to see your floor again?
Probably. It's just easier.
Yeah, no, that was a fun little release that they had today. That Boba Fett was really hot too. The red Boba Fett that sold out like in seconds.
Yeah, I was happy to see that stuff did sell out.
Yeah, the Cheshire Cat also sold out pretty quickly. And so did there were two Pokemon pops that sold out pretty quick too. I think it was like
Yeah.
Eevee and Pichu, but not Pikachu, Pichu. Yeah, those sold out pretty quickly, and it was cool to see that because it's been a while.
Miguel from Coco sold out. Captain Adam sold out.
Oh shit, that's right, Captain Adam. I forgot Captain Adam was there. It's a cool pop.
Couple sodas did too. So
There were some Masters of the Universe ones, right?
one of the Skeletors did the Skeletor that was they called it Disco Skeletor, and Speed Racer.
Oh, that's right, Speed Racer. Yeah. Did you pick up anything else?
That was it.
Uh,
That was it.
I got some cool stuff. So some stuff I ordered back in the fall finally came in, actually. So I got all of the MCU Black Widow figures that I wanted, which all the unboxings at the time of this recording are all up on YouTube. I got Red Guardian, Yelena Belova, and Taskmaster from the regular wave, and then I opted for the deluxe Black Widow in like the white suit as opposed to the normal carded Black Widow. I already have a really good looking Black Widow in a black suit. The Infinity War figure, when you pop off the vest, looks perfect, and the heads are all interchangeable, which are great. But these figures are super cool. They actually have some new elbow articulation. Taskmaster, Yelena Belova, and Black Widow, they all have this kind of new jointed elbow that gives you like super extended articulation to the point where like you can even bend it the wrong way. And make them kind of look like their arm is broken. But they're gorgeous figures. The likenesses are amazing. The Taskmaster figure might be one of the best Marvel Legends figures in the MCU line, period. End of story. It is the paint apps on it, the articulation, the accessories, the fact that he comes with a bow and an arrow with it, and the bow is made of like a more flexible plastic, so he can actually pull the string back and actually knock the arrow. I'm very impressed. Very impressed of what they did with those figures. And the fact that Black Widow comes with a base and explosion effects. It's just, they really did a great job. It's a shame that we have to wait a little bit longer to see this film. I know we're both very excited for it, but now they pushed it back to November. So part of me was kind of hoping that we get like a Disney Plus release, but at the same time, like I completely understand that they need to they need to wait for that to be in theaters. But those figures are incredible. Can't recommend them enough. Definitely check out our YouTube channel, where I talk about them a little bit more at length. My only real gripe with them was the fact that Red Guardian only came with one head. It's the unmasked David Harbour head, which is kind of a pain in the ass because all of the images on the box have his like Soviet version of the Captain America helmet on, including like some of the pieces that we've seen in the trailer and when he's fighting Taskmaster in the trailer. So, I have a feeling there's going to be some double dipping there with a masked version, but we'll wait and see. The other thing that I got was the Vintage Collection Mandalorian and Cara Dune figures, which, again, continuing a trend with Hasbro at this point. Two of probably the best Vintage Collection figures they've done. The likenesses, the posability, the paint apps, everything is just fantastic on them. They absolutely crushed it. I can't believe the detail that they're pulling off in that scale at this point. It's mind-boggling. They're gorgeous. They're nearly perfect. I have nothing bad to say about either of them. And then I actually added to my NECA collection, Dave. Because
Did you?
Because of course I need another thing to collect, right? So I since I've been home and have been at my home office area that I share with my wife, I'm looking at my display more than I normally do, and I wanted to switch it up a little bit, and I finally realized that like I needed a Leatherface. I missed the Movie Maniacs Leatherface back in the day from the McFarlane line, and I've been looking at him aftermarket, and it's just more than I'm willing to pay.
Although you could have had one at a decent price at the toy show that one time.
That was still even a lot. That was still a lot, and I get it. I get it. But you know what? I have to say, the NECA Leatherface that I picked up, unbelievable. I'm so happy with it. He looks great with the Movie Maniacs figures. Like, he scales perfectly with them. He looks incredible. Comes with crazy accessories that I'm never gonna pose him with. I mean, he comes with like a hanging meat hook, and he comes with like a series of butcher's knives. Um, he comes with a swappable head where he's wearing what's the guy's face uh, from the original film when he's wearing like the boyfriend's face when he shows up to dinner.
I
Um,
forget his name, but yes.
yeah, that he comes with that head. It's just crazy. And then two of my favorite figures growing up as a kid, I loved the um the alien figures. I think they were Kenner that was producing them. Um, so I picked up an alien, a xenomorph. I got the brown xenomorph warrior from the Aliens film that comes with the face hugger, the chest burster, the egg, and the actual like xenomorph itself. Super impressed with it. It has like it's just kind of like the little details in it, like so like the way that the jaw and like the inside mouth extends, and the fact that like all of the bendy things, so like the tail on the actual xenomorph itself, the tail on both the chest burster and the face hugger have bendy wire in them, so like you can really kind of pose them in really cool ways. And I couldn't get a xenomorph and not get Ripley, so I got Ripley in it's called Bomber Jacket Ripley, but it's the Ripley from Aliens, and she comes with the like the awesome looking gun, and NECA just crushes it on those two figures. The likenesses, the scale, the posability, they just kind of get everything right. And I like too, which is an interesting little touch on the NECA figures, which I never noticed because these are my first three NECA figures. They have this thing where they change the type of plastic in areas that you wouldn't necessarily think to change them in. And what I mean by that is like, so like they kind of, I don't know how to put this, but it's like the figures kind of have underwear, like on the outside, but they have this kind of rubbery plastic underwear, so that way when you move their legs, they don't get these weird like gaps, or they don't affect the actual posability of the joints because
Hmm.
the like the softer plastic gives in those areas. And it's such a cool touch, having coming from like Hasbro figures and even McFarlane
Kind of
figures.
like the Liger torso.
Yes, actually, very very similar to what Storm did with Liger, where you can't tell from a distance that it's a different type of plastic because it has the same sort of paint, has the same sort of finish, but when you're actually posing it, you can feel it. And they come at a little bit of a higher price point, but you get what you pay for. They're a little bit more detailed. They're a little bit more posable. They're awesome. I'm very impressed with what they're doing. Now I need a Chucky. So I'm in. I pulled that band-aid off. I'm screwed. You got me, NECA. You got me at Toy Fair. When I was walking around in your booth at Toy Fair and I saw the stuff you have coming out, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get a Chucky and I'm going to say, cool, now I have Michael, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, and Chucky, and then like I'm going to see the Ghostface when it comes out, and I'm going to go, oh, use Ghostface too.
Yeah, I was gonna get the Jasons, and then I was like, no, because then that'll be all the Freddys, and then I'll get Sam and the Michael Myers is in it, and I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, Slippery Slope, because they have that separate line too with like
The Ultimates, and that's all I would want.
yep. But they have that Halloween 2 line coming out with like Dr. Loomis, and he's got like cloth goods.
No, I would just want the regular Ultimate figures. That's it. You got it. I would have to kind of stay narrow.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I opened up Pandora's box. I am not getting Pinhead.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, not doing it. Not getting Candyman. Not doing it. Not doing it. Hold me to it. Please keep me accountable.
Okay.
um yeah, so those are my hauls. So it's been, I have to say the one thing, being home during all this has given me a lot more time to kind of like dive into this stuff. So like doing the unboxing videos and kind of taking more time to mess around with poses and redo shelves. That's been a nice little silver lining of all of this, I guess you could say.
I thought you were going to say is giving you time to not go to Target and spend money.
Yeah.
Or Walmart.
Yeah, no, online shipping. Yeah, I got that Target red card. Yeah, it's dangerous. Dangerous stuff. I have more stuff coming. I have more stuff pre-ordered. So we'll see if it gets here. Spawn, I'm waiting for you. um yeah, so I mean we talked about it at the beginning, but you mentioned with some of the wrestlers that they announced, but let's talk about WrestleMania, Dave.
Yeah, because usually, and we're not going to talk about it from the sense of it being WrestleMania and, give you like a blow by blow of what happened. If you watched it, you watched it. If you didn't, you didn't. But what we're going to talk about is kind of what we could see coming from it on a toy end. Because I do think there were a couple of opportunities for there to be, cool toys from it.
Yeah, and I mean you're obviously much more well versed in the world of wrestling figures than I am. I am a novice. I typically watch WrestleMania and Royal Rumble every year. That's about it. um, but I think the two things that the two like elephants in the room that need to be addressed are those two cinematic moments, right?
Yeah, the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. And I do think that's, where your opportunity for toys comes from. At least to start. There were a few, as there always are, wrestlers who got special gear made for WrestleMania. I feel like everybody does. So it's definitely, there are a couple choices that I looked at that and I was like, I would get the toy of that. So yeah, in the Boneyard match, it was Undertaker versus AJ Styles in a graveyard.
It was like a pseudo like graveyard slash
Industrial,
junkyard
yeah.
graveyard. Yeah.
It was wild. It's definitely worth watching whether you're a wrestling fan or not. And cause it played out like a crazy action movie, which was cool. But I definitely think you could see them making a figure of both participants.
Yeah, it was like if
Undertaker for sure.
it was like if Michael Bay directed a soap opera.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I could think about it, because it was like there were explosions and like way more dialogue than you normally hear in a wrestling match. But it's what I kind of always imagine they are saying to each other when they're in the ring. But getting to hear it and seeing them kind of like fight in a junkyard was just it was bizarre, but in the most charming way possible.
Well, speaking of which, charming in the most bizarre way possible was the Firefly Funhouse match, where I think this is open for the most toyetic things, because they went through like John Cena's career, they went through Bray Wyatt's career. I could see them making figures for every kind of set piece that they did. In like some wild box set, maybe even like.
It almost reminded
And
me.
I would buy it.
Oh, 100%. I might even be on the hook for something like that.
Like if they gave me a John Cena and an NWO shirt, I would buy it.
Forget it. I would own it. I would want that too. It was just.
And the thing is too, they're making like, there are 3 Cenas that are coming out that are awesome.
And one of them was in it. The Yankee hat with the Yankee jersey, like that Cena was.
That was WrestleMania last year, yeah. But there's another kind of earlier Cena. They had day one Cena. But yeah, there's they had day one Bray Wyatt. They had NWO Bray Wyatt. Like, it was wild.
Do you think they'd ever make the puppets?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Because like so again, like outsider
If they made T-shirts of them, so
outsider looking in, right? So this is me as somebody who like completely understands wrestling. Like I love the history of it. I've been watching The Dark Side of the Ring on Vice. Um, th- I watched this having never seen um Bray Wyatt wrestle as the Fiend. Like this was the first time I had ever seen like a match of that.
nor did you really, because I think there were 3 moves in the whole match.
Correct. Um, it was. I've watched it 3 times since since it
It's
has been on, and every time I watch it, I like it more. Like I'm so impressed with what they did with it, just from the production value, and like
it was great.
it's super weird because like so I watched the Randy Orton and Edge match, and I was
Which I think Edge is also another toy opportunity, like new Edge.
yeah, it was cool.
But I think it would be more Royal Rumble Edge than WrestleMania Edge.
Yeah. It was cool to see the 2 of them go at it, throughout, like, the halls of the WWE training building, which is, like, you had to, like, adjust to the fact that there was no crowd, there was no noise, there was nothing, like, it was that part of it was weird, but then when it kind of jettisoned into these moments that were more cinematic, like, I don't know, like, I almost hope this kind of changes the way that they do some of these things, like, I would love for them to do that more often. Because
Well, this is going back to the the Matt Hardy deletion stuff,
yeah, which is it's like yeah,
which I think he's doing another one with Jericho
it's zany, but it works, and
in AEW. Yeah,
it reminds me of like you said, toyetic, which is it is the word for this, but it reminds me of some of those old school like Jack Pacific sets, like we've mentioned it a couple times on the show, but like the Buried Alive, the King of the Iron Rungs, I feel like they haven't done, and they have the battle packs, and they do, they have that new playset coming out that's like an ambulance that,
they've done a couple here and there. Like they did a Four Horsemen set. And they've done.
but like how awesome would it be if they put out a set of like 6 figures and it's 3 different Bray Wyatts and 3 different Cenas?
It would be great, and I would buy it immediately.
And people absolutely would buy it. And like you make it so that it's like 6 figures that you can only get in that set. Maybe you repack the Fiend, that new Fiend Elite that's coming out. Maybe that's the repack, and maybe the Elite John Cena with like the Yankee hat. Like they're your 2 repacks, and then the rest
No,
are
you'd have to do the green T-shirt,
oh
green hat.
yeah. But you could reuse the same figure, just produce a couple
Same
new
haircut,
accessories
yeah,
for it.
sure.
Yeah. But like man, that was just it was so cool to see them kind of go through the cinematic nature of that and kind of go back to like different, defining moments in the history of the WWE and even WCW. Like it was really, really cool. Really, really cool. And there are so many cool toys that could come out of that. I really hope they, you know, shift a focus and make that happen.
They should definitely strike while the iron is hot on that, as it were. And I'm sure that it's definitely got to be something that's being thought about. I don't see why not.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And to your point, aside from the cinematic stuff, there were some great alternate looks, to some of the wrestlers throughout the 2 day
Yeah,
event.
yeah. We still don't have like a kind of new haircut Bailey yet. We still don't have um women's tag team titles. Like there are no toy women's tag team titles. Um, Rhea Ripley had a new gear, which was really cool. Edge, of course, like we said. Um, there Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Like there are very many memorable moments that happened on the show that you could take advantage of in figure form. I feel.
So here's the big question: do you make Gronk a a basic, or do you give Gronk an elite figure?
Um, well, you're already getting the 24/7 title on the new R Truth figure that's coming out. So I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter. What do you want a figure of tracksuit Gronk? Do you want it to be an elite or a basic?
I mean, it's just when he jumped off of that little like um scaffolding into the crowd of people, that was pretty funny. I got a good laugh out of that.
It was good. It was good.
But yeah, I mean, I think overall, given the circumstances, given what they had to operate with, and kind of the down to the wire nature of it, I feel like they delivered an overall like an entertaining WrestleMania.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
There were things that were boring, but I'm also not super invested. But it was enough, where I watched parts of night one and came back for parts of night two. So yeah, and like I said, I'm kind of like in on the Fiend a little bit. I kind of get it. More than I kind of get it, I get it. Which is why I understand why so many people are excited for that Elite Fiend that they recently announced. Both they announced it right before we saw the final figure right before WrestleMania, right? That was part of the Zach and Kurt announcement.
Yeah, they had announced it back at Ringside Fest a while ago,
but it was just like the gray, like
It was a render.
Yeah.
Now it's the actual. You're seeing the figure,
and it's awesome looking. It looks.
It looks incredible, and it comes with the head lantern. Like it's great.
Yeah. So, I think an opportunity to have him in his weird twisted Mr. Rogers red sweater.
That would be great too. That's definitely another figure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we just need to keep an eye on what Mattel and WWE have in store for us, right?
Yeah.
So, with that, Dave, I think we're gonna wrap it up. And I always try to kind of like hit you with a question out of left field, but like we talked about WrestleMania, that's the main topic, right? So, like, what's the one figure you want to see at WrestleMania?
It's some sort of Firefly Funhouse thing.
NWO Cena for me.
NWO Cena, yeah, that would be great.
That's the number one for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was or Day One Cena would be cool too.
What did he keep repeating? I watched
Ruthless Aggression.
Ruthless Aggression. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that was super cool. Before we lock it up for the evening, there is one other brief announcement that I wanted to make, or that we wanted to make, excuse me. ZapCon, where we were scheduled to have our first ever live show, in March.
We still are scheduled to have our first ever live show.
That's the announcement, Dave. When are we rescheduled for?
It'll be September 12th, also a Saturday.
Yep. So same place. It'll be at the Wayne PAL. If you have already purchased tickets, your ticket is still valid, of course. If not, keep an eye on at ZapCon, and at Zap Comics for more information as we get closer to the date. The situation is always evolving, day to day, and as of right now, we're looking at September 12th. So hopefully hopefully we'll see you all there.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azzari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.